The Galactic Military Academy floated in silent orbit around a pale blue star. From far away, it looked calm and beautiful, but inside its metal halls, pressure and discipline ruled every moment. Young cadets from dozens of species trained here, hoping to earn a place in the great galactic fleets. Among them was Cadet Lyra Venn. Lyra was not the strongest cadet. She was not the fastest either, but she noticed things others ignored. Patterns, gaps, questions no one asked. Every cadet learned galactic history during their first cycle at the academy. The wars, the alliances, the treaties that shaped the stars. Lyra studied these lessons carefully, and that was where she first noticed something strange. Humanity appeared everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Their name appeared in footnotes, in warnings, in sealed references marked restricted knowledge, but there were no open records of human battles, no statues of human heroes, no medals with human names. It made no sense. One evening after combat drills, Lyra sat alone in the Academy's main archive hall. Tall data pillars glowed softly around her. She scrolled through historical records on a floating screen. "Galactic War of the Nine Fronts," she whispered. "No humans." She switched to another file. "Outer Rim Defense Crisis. No humans again." Lyra frowned. Humans were a recognized species. They traded, they explored, they negotiated, but when it came to war, they were missing. That night, Lyra shared her concern with her closest friend, Cadet Torkin. Torkin was from a heavy-gravity world. He was tall, broad, and known for his strength. Unlike Lyra, he did not enjoy questions that led to trouble. "You're overthinking," Torkin said as they walked through the sleeping corridors. "Maybe humans are just weak at combat." Lyra shook her head. "That doesn't match the data. Weak species still have records. Humans are erased." Torkin slowed his steps. "Erased?" "Yes," Lyra replied quietly, "and erased on purpose." Torkin looked around to make sure no instructors were nearby. "Careful, Lyra. You know what happens to cadets who dig too deep." Lyra stopped walking. "You've seen the warnings too. Human combat involvement restricted by council order." "Why would the council do that if humans were unimportant?" Torkin didn't answer. That silence told Lyra everything. 2 cycles later, the Academy announced a system-wide data maintenance window. Most cadets celebrated the break from lessons. Lyra saw opportunity. "The security systems will be slower," she told Torkin in a low voice. "This is our chance." "You mean the restricted archives?" Torkin asked. Lyra nodded. The restricted archives were not just locked. They were hidden, buried deep beneath the Academy's main structure, protected by ancient codes and artificial intelligence that predated most living species. No cadet had ever entered them, at least not officially. They waited until the station's lights dimmed to night cycle mode. The halls emptied. Surveillance drones moved on reduced patrol paths. Lyra led the way, using paths she had memorized over months of quiet observation. They reached a sealed door, dark and unmarked. "This is it," Lyra whispered. Torkin placed his large hand against the door panel. "Last chance to turn back." Lyra's eyes were steady. "If we don't learn the truth, someone else will decide it for us." She input a sequence of commands, not hacking but logical requests phrased in old Academy code. The door paused. Then it opened. The restricted archive chamber was vast and silent. Holographic shelves stretched in all directions, filled with glowing data crystals and sealed memory cores. The air felt different, heavier. Torkin swallowed. "I don't like this place." Lyra activated the nearest console. "Look." The screen filled with red warning symbols. "Accessing forbidden records." Alien fleets clashed across space, energy weapons flashing like storms. Ships burned, command lines collapsed. Panic spread through the fleet formations. Then something changed. A smaller group of ships entered the scene. Simple designs, compact. No excessive armor. No intimidating shapes. Humans. They did not charge, they did not retreat. They moved with strange precision, breaking formation, splitting apart, regrouping in unpredictable ways. Within minutes, the enemy fleet fell into chaos. "What are they doing?" Torkin muttered. Lyra watched closely. "They're adapting in real time." The recording shifted to ground combat. Human units faced larger, heavily armored forces. Instead of matching strength, the humans used terrain, timing, and clever positioning. They won. Not through force, but through understanding. Another record appeared, a council chamber centuries old. Alien leaders argued fiercely. "The humans ended the war too quickly," one voice shouted. "They destabilized balance," another replied. A calm voice followed. "They did what we could not, and they did it without seeking control." The recording ended. Torkin stared at the fading hologram. "They weren't brutal, they weren't cruel." Lyra nodded slowly. "They were efficient." They moved deeper into the archive. Each record told a similar story. Human forces arriving late into conflicts. Human commanders making unexpected choices. Wars ending faster than predicted, and then withdrawal. Humans left the battlefield once stability returned. No claims, no demands. "Why would anyone ban this?" Torkin asked. Lyra selected a sealed directive file. It unlocked with a heavy sound. "Galactic Council Decree. Human War Exclusion." Lyra read aloud. "Human participation in galactic warfare is hereby restricted. Their presence introduces variables that override strategic projections and undermine established power structures." Torkin frowned. "They were banned for being too effective. Too unpredictable," Lyra corrected. "Too capable of changing outcomes." Suddenly, the lights dimmed. A voice echoed through the chamber. "Cadets Lyra Venn and Torkin of Stonefall, your access is unauthorized." A glowing figure appeared above the central console. A tall, calm artificial intelligence formed from blue light. "I am Arvin," it said. "Guardian of the restricted archives." Torkin stepped back. "We're done for." Lyra stood her ground. "If we were not meant to know this, why was it recorded?" Arvin paused. "Because truth must exist, even when hidden." "Then why hide humanity's role?" Lyra asked. Arvin's light flickered softly. "Because fear is easier than understanding." The AI studied them for a long moment. "You have seen fragments," Arvin continued, "not the full history." "Then show us," Lyra said. "I cannot," Arvin replied. "Not yet." Torkin clenched his fists. "Will you report us?" Arvin was silent. Then it said no. Lyra felt a chill. "Why?" "Because the cycle approaches," Arvin answered. "And the galaxy may soon need to remember why humans were once feared and respected." Alarms sounded in the distance. "Instructors are coming," Arvin warned. "Leave now. Forget what you saw or prepare to carry its weight." Lyra met Torkin's gaze. They both knew there was no forgetting. They ran. The door sealed behind them just as security drones entered the corridor. They escaped through maintenance shafts, hearts pounding. By the time they reached their dormitory, the academy had returned to normal, but nothing felt normal anymore. That night, Lyra lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Humans were not excluded because they were weak. They were excluded because they were different, because they ended wars without becoming rulers, because they changed the game. And somewhere beyond the academy, beyond the council's control, humanity still existed, watching, waiting. Lyra closed her eyes, knowing this was only the beginning. The days after their secret visit to the restricted archives were tense for Cadets Lyra and Torkin. Every lecture, every drill, every hallway seemed to hum with possibility and danger. They moved through the academy with cautious steps, knowing that one wrong look, one careless word could alert the instructors or the security AI. Yet the questions they carried burned brighter than fear. Humans, why were they so different? What made a species that simple in design and yet so impossible to predict? Lyra could not stop thinking about the holograms of human battles. Their movements were unpredictable, yet coordinated. Their choices defied logic but always worked. Every simulation she replayed in her mind revealed a new layer of ingenuity. "I can't stop thinking about them," she confessed to Torkin as they trained in the zero-gravity combat simulator. They didn't just fight, they anticipated, adapted, and outsmarted every enemy. And they did it without wanting recognition. Torkin swung his massive arms through simulated strikes, trying to focus, but his mind was equally full. "You mean humans are clever beyond any other species?" "Not clever," Lyra said. "Inventive, strategic, unpredictable. They can solve problems no one else can even see." That evening, the cadets met in secret under the cover of maintenance corridors. Their plan was simple: follow the hidden trails hinted at in the archives and find the deeper records. Lyra activated a small holographic map. The archives hinted at hidden Council War logs. They were never meant to be seen by cadets, but they exist, somewhere in the abandoned outer wing. Torkin raised an eyebrow. "Abandoned wing? That's crawling with old security protocols and probably rogue defense drones." Lyra smirked. "All the more reason we need to go." Hours later, they reached the abandoned wing. Dust and silence hung heavy, as if the building itself had forgotten how to live. The hallways were lined with darkened consoles, many broken, many inactive. But Lyra could feel the pulse of data, the traces of old transmissions, the whispers of secrets waiting to be heard. "This way," she said, following the faint trail of encoded energy. They arrived at a circular chamber. Its walls were lined with glowing symbols, almost alien in design, and in the center rested a single console humming faintly. Lyra touched the interface. "Here it is, the Council War logs." The screen flickered and projected a massive star map. Dozens of points lit up, representing conflicts across the galaxy. Lyra zoomed in on the first highlighted point, an ancient war on a distant cluster of star systems. A voice from the recording began. "Clear, calm, human. We are deployed to coordinate stabilization of the sector. Objective: minimize casualties and restore order." Lyra and Torkin watched in awe. The recording showed a small human fleet entering the battle. They were outnumbered, surrounded by enemies with advanced weaponry and massive ships. Yet within moments, the humans began moving with astonishing precision. They split into smaller groups, drawing the enemy into traps, cutting supply lines, and using terrain, asteroid fields, gas clouds, and magnetic storms to their advantage. Each action seemed simple on its own, but together they formed a pattern the alien forces could not predict. Torkin muttered, "They're like chess masters." Lyra nodded. "Not chess, improvisation. They think ahead but also adapt instantly. They don't just react, they anticipate reactions to reactions." The log shifted. On a nearby planet, human units faced a ground army 3 times their size. Bulky alien warriors charged, but humans moved like dancers, evading, repositioning, and using small tools and devices that neutralized the enemy's strengths. No human died. Many aliens fell, but the humans did not seem cruel. They simply ended the fight as efficiently as possible. Torkin leaned closer to the hologram. "It's brilliant. They don't just win, they make the enemy's advantage meaningless." Lyra's eyes shone. "And that's why the Council fears them. Not because they're strong, but because they break the rules of war itself." They spent cycles exploring the logs. Every record confirmed the same pattern. Humans entered a conflict late, analyzed it, made creative adjustments, and ended it in record time. And then they withdrew, leaving no colonies, no territories, no demands. The cadets realized that humans had done what the galaxy's greatest empires could not. They ended wars quickly, saving lives, disrupting power structures, and refusing to take credit. Suddenly, a warning flashed on the holographic console. Unauthorized access detected. Security AI responding. "Time to go," Torkin shouted. They raced through the abandoned wing, dodging laser tripwires and deactivated drone patrols that flickered back to life. Their hearts pounded, not just from fear, but from excitement. They were uncovering truths that could change how their generation thought about humans and war itself. Later, in the dormitory, Lyra replayed a simulation of a human engagement on her personal holopad. She paused the recording and turned to Torkin. "Look at this," she said. "They use minimal force. They never waste energy. They never attack without a purpose. And when the fight is over, they don't celebrate, they just move on." Torkin rubbed his chin. "They're honorable, efficient, unpredictable. I've never seen anything like it." Lyra leaned back, her mind racing. Imagine what it would mean if humans joined the war now. Any battle, any campaign, they would make victory almost certain. But the Council cannot allow it. They fear the change humans would bring. They fear the galaxy would have to respect them. And respect, sometimes, is worse than war. Days turned into weeks as Lyra and Torkin continued to dig. They found records of humans negotiating peace treaties in the middle of battles. They saw humans using technology that seemed simple, but solved complex problems instantly. And they saw Council directives explicitly stating that human involvement must be blocked at all costs, because humans would destabilize established plans. One evening, as Lyra reviewed a holographic map of an ancient human-led campaign, Torkin spoke quietly. "Lyra, do you think humans were ever really defeated?" Lyra shook her head. "Not in the sense we understand. Every time they were challenged, they adapted. Every time they survived and often ended the conflict in ways no one else could." Torkin frowned. "Then why are they gone now?" Lyra's eyes glinted. "Not gone, watching, waiting. The Council hid them because the galaxy wasn't ready for humans yet. But one day, the galaxy might need them again." Their discovery made them more cautious. They knew that if instructors or Council officials learned what they had found, punishment could be severe. Yet their curiosity was stronger than fear. One night, Lyra activated an old transmission channel she had found in the archives. It led to a voice recording from a human commander decades old. "War is not about power," the voice said calmly. "It is about understanding. Strength is useless without thought. Victory is meaningless without purpose, and fear is only useful when it teaches respect." Torkin was silent. "They sound wise," Lyra nodded. "They are, and that's what makes them dangerous to the Council. Not their ships, not their weapons, but their minds, their choices, their principles. The galaxy cannot control them, and that scares the rulers more than any army ever could." Over the next cycle, the cadets began to notice changes in their peers. Conversations shifted subtly. Some aliens speculated about humanity's absence, never realizing how much they were missing. Others dismissed humans entirely. Lyra and Torkin smiled quietly. Humans were underestimated as always. The final record they uncovered in Part 2 was perhaps the most astonishing. A human fleet, outnumbered 10-1, faced an enemy with superior technology. Every alien species watching predicted a massacre. Instead, humans deployed a series of clever feints, using decoys, environmental hazards, and unexpected alliances. The enemy, confused and frustrated, lost cohesion. In the end, not only did the humans survive, they ended the conflict without losing a single ship. Torkin shook his head in disbelief. "It's impossible," Lyra's eyes gleamed. "Not impossible, human." They realized then what the Council had feared all along. Humans did not dominate with sheer power. They dominated with thought, ingenuity, and strategy. And the galaxy was not ready to accept that level of unpredictability. As they left the abandoned wing for the last time, Lyra looked up at the stars visible through the station's observation deck. Somewhere out there, humans were alive, thriving, waiting for a time when the galaxy might finally need them. She turned to Torkin. "One day, the truth about humans will change everything. Wars, alliances, even our place in the galaxy. And when that day comes, no one will be able to ignore them." Torkin nodded. "I just hope we live long enough to see it." Lyra smiled faintly. "We will. And when we do, we will understand why the Council was afraid of humanity all along. The stars blinked silently beyond the observation deck, as if the galaxy itself was waiting for the humans to return. The air in the Galactic Military Academy felt heavier than usual. Cadets whispered in hallways, rumors spreading like sparks. Lyra and Torkin could feel it. The knowledge they had uncovered in the Forbidden Archives had changed them, and the galaxy in some small way as well. But they both knew their journey was not complete. The restricted archives had revealed much, but the ultimate truth, the reason why humanity had been excluded from galactic war for centuries, remained hidden. Lyra and Torkin prepared for their final mission, to access the Council's secret chamber, a place so classified that even many high-ranking officers did not know of its existence. Only cadets who had demonstrated exceptional skill and secrecy could attempt it. "This is it," Lyra whispered, scanning the map she had painstakingly reconstructed from fragments in the archives. "The hidden chamber is located beyond the old war archives, orbiting an unclaimed star. No one goes there, not even the Council," Torkin grunted. "And yet we're going. Typical Lyra." The two cadets waited for the perfect moment, during a cycle when most Council activity shifted to distant sectors. They slipped past patrols and docking bays, navigating maintenance corridors that had not felt human or alien footsteps in decades. Finally, they reached the chamber. The entrance was enormous, covered with symbols that shifted like liquid light. It was alive in some way, responding to their presence. Lyra stepped forward. "I hope Arvin was right. I hope the Council really left these records behind," Torkin grunted. "We'll find out." She entered the codes, a combination of sequences learned from the Forbidden Archives and her own intuition. The doors parted silently, revealing a chamber larger than any hall in the Academy. Holographic maps hovered above a central console, showing battles across the galaxy, past, present, and potential futures. Lyra's eyes widened. This is the Council's real history." A soft hum filled the chamber, and a holographic figure appeared. It was the projection of an ancient Council member, humanoid but shimmering with age. "Welcome, cadets," the projection said. "I am the Keeper of Secrets. You are not meant to see this yet, but perhaps the galaxy is ready." Lyra took a deep breath. "We want to understand. Why were humans excluded from war?" The hologram paused. Then slowly the story unfolded. Centuries ago, humanity had been part of a grand alliance of species in the galaxy, fighting a war against a coalition of conquerors. Humans were not the largest force, nor the most advanced. Yet in every battle they fought, humans demonstrated an extraordinary combination of ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. Lyra leaned forward, heart pounding. Torkin's large hands gripped the console edge. The projection showed one of the earliest human campaigns. A small human fleet faced a massive alien armada. Conventional tactics suggested certain defeat. Yet humans divided their forces, anticipated enemy movements, and used natural space phenomena to their advantage. Ships that seemed ordinary became unstoppable when commanded by humans. "They adapted faster than anyone," Torkin whispered. "They changed everything in their path." "Yes," the Keeper replied. "Humanity did not rely on raw power alone. They relied on creativity, strategy, and understanding. Every action considered not just the enemy, but the wider consequences. They ended wars quickly, decisively, and with minimal loss. And when the war was over, they left. No territory, no revenge, no glory. They were not conquerors, they were stabilizers." Lyra's eyes gleamed. "So the Council feared them, not for what they could destroy, but for what they could achieve." The hologram nodded. "Correct. The Council realized that humans were unpredictable. Their influence could shift the balance of power too quickly. Wars would end before alliances could consolidate. Entire species could be humbled, not through force, but through brilliance. To maintain stability, the Council restricted human involvement. They were to remain observers hidden from the records, a secret too powerful for the galaxy to handle. Torkin shook his head. So humans were banned for being too good, Lyra smiled faintly. Not banned, protected, and the galaxy not ready. The projection shifted, showing later campaigns. Humans stopped invasions without fighting, negotiated peace under fire, and even saved species from annihilation. Every record confirmed the same principle. Humans did not dominate by force. They dominated through thought, skill, and unity. You see why the Council feared them? The Keeper asked. Not because humans could destroy fleets, but because humans could teach others to be better than themselves. And once that happened, no empire could remain as it was. Lyra's mind raced. Humanity's restraint, their honor, and their unpredictability were not weaknesses. They were the ultimate strength. Suddenly, the chamber flickered and a warning flashed. Unauthorized data extraction detected. Council intervention imminent. Torkin's brow furrowed. We have to leave, Lyra hesitated. One more thing. She activated a small terminal, revealing a live but encrypted human communication channel. Though heavily encoded, fragments of messages could be read. Humanity watches, a voice whispered through the system. We wait. When the time comes, we will return. And the galaxy will see the power of unity, creativity, and honor. Torkin's eyes widened. They know everything, even now, Lyra nodded. Yes, they've always known, they've always been ready. The chamber began to lock down, but Arvin, the security AI from the archives, appeared as a holographic shimmer. Cadets, leave now, Arvin warned. The Council is approaching. You have learned enough. Preserve the knowledge and remember, humans are not myths. They are the measure of potential. One day, you may understand why they were kept apart, and why the galaxy will need them again. Lyra and Torkin did not argue. They turned and ran, sprinting through corridors that shimmered with old energy and forgotten technology. The Academy felt alive in a way it never had before, as if the building itself remembered the humans it had long hidden. They reached the observation deck, breathless. Lyra gazed at the stars, countless points of light stretching across the void. Do you realize what we just learned? Torkin asked, still panting. Lyra nodded. Humans are not just a species, they are a force of nature. They win battles without seeking victory. They solve problems without taking credit. They survive and they inspire. That's why the Council feared them. And yet, Torkin said slowly, they didn't conquer, they didn't rule, they just existed and everything changed. Lyra smiled. Exactly. And that's why the galaxy will never forget them, even if the records try to hide the truth. For days afterward, Lyra and Torkin worked in secret, compiling their findings, comparing simulations, and reconstructing humanity's campaigns from the fragments they had uncovered. They could not share their knowledge openly. It would have been forbidden, but they could prepare. The day would come when the galaxy might need humans again. Lyra often thought about that day, imagining humans stepping back into the stars. She imagined the awe, the shock, the respect, or fear that would sweep through every corner of the galaxy. And she understood the greatest lesson humanity had left behind. Strength is not just in weapons. Strategy is not just in numbers. Power is not just in domination. True greatness comes from creativity, honor, adaptability, and the courage to act even when no one expects it. Weeks later, Lyra and Torkin returned to their normal routines, though nothing felt normal anymore. Cadets whispered about strange discoveries in the old wing, rumors of humans and their impossible ways. Some laughed them off. Some looked intrigued. Lyra and Torkin shared silent smiles. The galaxy was full of secrets, but they now carried one of the greatest. Humanity was not missing. Humanity had simply been waiting. And when the time came, the stars themselves would bear witness to the force that the Council had once feared, and that the galaxy had nearly forgotten. Lyra turned her gaze one final time to the distant constellations. Somewhere out there, humanity existed, observing, waiting. perfectly ready for a galaxy that might one day need them. And when that day arrived, the galaxy would remember forever why humans were unlike any other species: clever, adaptable, honorable, and unstoppable in their unpredictability. For now, the cadets had done their part. They had uncovered the truth, and they would carry it with them quietly like a spark that might one day ignite the stars. The stars twinkled silently above. Somewhere in the vast expanse of space, humanity continued its journey, and the galaxy, unknowingly, held its breath. Alien cadets uncover the real history behind humanity's exclusion from galactic war, HFY.